Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Daddy's Barbecue Pit. This week, we're gonna cook you up a standing rib roast. So to get started on this thing, now you could do this several different ways. You could cut it into steaks, which a lot of people prefer. This is basically just a standing ribeye roast. We left the bones in, cleaned them up a little bit, tied it up to keep everything kind of symmetrical, and we took off a little bit of the heavy fat. You can inject it. You could do this a lot of different ways. We're just going to slow roast it at 250 today in our oven on a rack until it gets to about 120. We're going to remove it, let it sit for about a half an hour, and then put it back in at the highest temperature setting and sear this baby so it gets a nice crust on it. But to start, we're going to take some Wagyu brisket tallow that we had left over. We're just going to rub this guy, use it as a binder. Give your meat a good rubbing. Never a bad thing. And today we're just going to come back with a little bit of Killer Hogs TX. And I'll get all sides real good here. But yeah, if you don't have beef tallow, you can use some Worcestershire sauce. Or you could use no binder at all, and you can just let the seasoning sit and melt into the meat. But now we're just going to come back. We got some fresh rosemary. Just sprinkle over real nice. Pat it in. A little bit more of that TX on there. And we got some fresh thyme. Make sure you get it all over good. And again, we're going in the oven on a rack. We're going to put a couple cans of beef consommé in the bottom of our roasting pan, just so we have a little bit of juice in there. I think it smells amazing already. And we'll show you what it looks like when we put it in the oven. So this is how we're setting our rib roast on our rack in our pan. One thing I will tell you, make sure this guy's up to room temperature before you throw it in the oven. Let it sit out a couple hours. It's not going to hurt it. Get it seasoned. Now we can get it in the oven. It's going to cook a lot better for you. So we're just going to take 2 cans of beef consommé, and we're going right into the bottom of our roasting pan here. If you only have beef broth, you can use that. If you just want to put water in there, you can use that as well. I'm going to dump our leftover seasonings that we had just to kind of spice this. I'll jus up a little bit and use up these seasonings. Now I have a wired probe here that I'm going to go straight in, and so we're in the center. Again, we want to get this to 120, so it's probably going to take a couple hours to get there, and then we'll crank it up and sear the outside. So we should be about dead center right there. And we'll get this guy in the oven for you. Okay, so again, on our prime, or on our rib roast, we have reached 120. Our ThermoWorks dot just went off. So we're gonna pull this guy off. Now we're gonna let it sit. We're gonna pull it off. We're gonna set it over there. We're gonna tent it for about 30 minutes. We're gonna crank this oven up as high as it'll go, which I think is 550 on this one. Run it up all the way. We're going to throw it back in there to get a good, nice sear on the outside of it. This thing smells amazing already. I'm going to unhook this thermometer. We're just going to pull it out and set it right over here. Okay, so we got our rib roast sitting here. It's still, we just have it tented, as you can see. We pulled this thing off at 121. So you can see where this thing's at, 139. That's how much this has come up. We got our oven set at 550. We're going to throw this thing back in uncovered until we get a good sear on it. It's probably not going to take but 10-15 minutes. We'll pull it out, let it rest again, and we'll slice it up. Going back in, going to set it again dead center. I'm going to leave my probe in it just so I can keep an eye on it. We're going to close this up. We're going to set the timer for 10 minutes and check it. Okay, so we've had this thing on for 15 minutes at 550. We got a nice crust on the outside of this guy. We're gonna let this thing rest for a few minutes before we cut into it. But you can see it. That thing looks gorgeous. Got some good juice in the bottom. We're gonna pull it off, let it sit over here, let it rest, and we'll cut it here in a few minutes. Okay, so we've let this rib roast rest for about another 10-15 minutes. You can see this is the pan drippings that's left, including our beef consommé we put in there. We're gonna go ahead and just trim off these ropes, the twine. Let's see how we did. So we're going to use our Pramaja from Kulina today to cut through the bottom of this. I'm going to split it in half, and then we'll remove the bones. So we're just going to come straight down through. You can see how we did on that. I'd say it's pretty damn perfect. It looks amazing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come down this side, follow that bone right around, trim that off. Now you can slice this any way you want. I'm just going to take a piece, dip it in the au jus, and give it a try for you guys because we're getting extremely hungry. So just let me take a little slice of this right here. You can see, I mean, that juicy. It's cooked perfectly to our liking. If you want to go a little less, this finished at about 140. That's where we like it. I'm just going to dip it in this juice a little bit, give it a try. That is freaking unbelievable, y'all. You got to give this recipe a try. Again, we cooked it on 250. It ended up taking about 2.5 hours until we got the 120, pulled it out, left it rest for about 30 minutes, popped it back in on 550 to get a good nice crust on the outside, preserve those juices. You've seen us cut it. It's unbelievable. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Get some. Wow. Here you go. Some guy needs his, right? Come over here, Dorothy.